An Astrologer's Day by RK Narayan is an interesting story based on the social satire. Let's understand the background before we understand the story. The story turns on a most important human weakness, the desire to know future. This weakness is great among those who are sick, the suffering, and the poverty-stricken. In a poor country such as India, astrologers, palmists, and numerologists, as well as others who claim to know the future, for example, fortune teller, assisted by birds in drawing cards, assume a great significance in society. Fortune tellers offers hope to those leading tragic lives, giving them reason to continue their existence and offer solace where it otherwise does not exist. They also find a means of survival in taking advantage of the misfortune of millions by listening to the tales of woes, particularly significant in a culture where psychiatrists are not common and would not command confidence even if they were. Astrology in particular has played a crucial role in the lives of many and has long been an integral part of the Indian life. So much so that the tradition in it has horoscopes not only of Buddhas who had lived 500 years before, they also find the means of survival in taking advantage of the misfortune of millions by listening to the tales of woe. Particularly significant in a culture where psychiatrists are not common and would not command confidence even if they were. Astrology in particular has played a crucial role in the lives of many and has long been an integral part of Indian life. So much so that the tradition has it, the horoscope not only of Buddha, who lived 500 years before the birth of Christ, but even of epic heroes dating back at least 1,000 years before Christ have been maintained. In an Astrologer's Day, Narayan not only touches on a tradition that has existed since antiquity, but also comments on its debased modern version, emphasizing the social reality. Narayan exploits with a comic eye a common foible of Indians and writes a happy ending story with a double twist and double surprise. The story begins with a description of the place and an environment in which the astrologer meets his clients and does his work. He begins his work every day at midday in public place under a large tree that is close to a public park in his town. The place chosen for his work is generally full of people who pass by or gather there, such as customers attracted by vendors of nuts, sweetmeats, and other snacks. It is a place poorly lighted in the evening, and because the astrologer has no light of his own, he must depend on what light comes from the flickering lamps kept by neighboring vendors. A duly lighted, murky place is best for his purpose. He is not an astrologer by profession, but was led into it by circumstances that forced him to leave his village, where if he had stayed, he would have settled down to a life of tilling the land. He has a practical knowledge of the common problems of most people. For example, marriage, money, and tangles of human ties. His sharp eyes used to scanning for customers make people believe he has an unusual ability to tell people's fortune. An Astrologer's Day opens as its title character arrives at his workplace at midday and an unusual spreads his chart and other fortune telling props before him, though no one comes seeking this aid for many hours. Later, with nightfall approaching, he begins preparing to go home, when all of a sudden he beholds a man standing in front of him. In the exchange of talk that ensues, the astrologer carefully tries to spread the net of his craft around the client. The client, Guru Nayak, responds with a challenge. Would the astrologer tell him whether the Guru Nayak will be successful in a search he is carrying out, returning double the fee he has paid if the prediction cannot be made. The astrologer alternately accepts, declines, and feigns indifference, all the more to whet Nayak's appetite and makes him praise his offer. The astrologer then catches a glimpse of Nayak's face, previously shrouded in darkness. In the light of the match, the Nayak has struck under his chariot, and though the fire chilled by the sight, decides to play out Nayak's game. The astrologer tells him that he was once left for dead by another man, who had attacked him with a knife. Nayak, astonished, bares his chest to show the scars and wants to know if his assailant is alive. The astrologer, addressing him by name, to his further surprise, adds that his assailant is now dead and he, Guru Nayak, should go back to his village and live out his life peacefully. To placate the still angry Nayak, who demands to know if the assailant met the kind of death he deserved, the astrologer replies that he was crushed under a lorry. Nayak pays him the fees and hurriedly departs. The astrologer returns home late to his anxious wife and gives her the money he earned the day, adding that it all came from one client. The wife is happy but notices a slightly changed expression on her husband's face. She asks him if there is something wrong. In reply to that, he says nothing. But after dinner, he tells her that he is relieved that the man he thought he killed in a drunken brawl many years earlier is in fact alive. He says that it is late and there is nothing left to talk more about it, but he is relieved out of whatever was happened, and he peacefully goes to sleep on Pyol. Thank you for listening.